Thanks for joining us here on KARE 11 Plus. I'm meteorologist John Ziegler. We want to give you an update here on Saturday specifically. We did go ahead and issue a weather impact alert day for Saturday. This isn't a major system, but we are going to be dealing with the potential for some ice, some sleet, and some snow. And just with that mess, I think it's best to be playing this cautious as we go throughout your Saturday. So this is going to be the whole day. I do think that there's an emphasis on the morning Saturday. Looks like that'll be our heavier batch. The impacts are going to be icing and sleet. Now, sleet is not as impactful as ice. Sleet is the hard ice balls. Freezing rain creates the skating rink. So you want to make sure you're cautious of rough travel at times, and don't forget your scraper. I know that's underrated, but I left my scraper back at home one of these days, and yesterday I went and was like, I'm going to remember you. So grab your ice scraper. You might need it, especially in southern Minnesota. So let's talk about the impacts. We're going to look at some morning sleet and freezing drizzle. Models indicate that the Twin Cities is right on the edge of this. North of the Twin Cities, it's mainly sleet and snow. Not as big of a deal. Freezing rain is from the Twin Cities south. It is going to turn over to some snow showers throughout the day, and we actually might need our shovels for the first time if this works out. If we get a little more freezing rain, then no. But right now, sleet and snow could be around an inch. And of course, we continue to talk about the slippery travel. Today, we're going to be seeing increasing clouds, and you can see those clouds have been showing up down towards the south. There's a low pressure center down here, and it's all about the warm air. So you think about this Arctic air mass that we have in place. It's very cold, it's dense, the cold air you can imagine sinking to the surface, and here comes this warm air. And I want to indicate that little purple box, that is an ice storm warning. That is significant, and that is for Cedar Rapids. So let's do a little explainer here on how freezing rain works. How does this actually work? So this is us right now. Imagine it like this, very cold air. Cold air is dense and low to the ground and stubborn. So the warm air, that warm front that I showed you coming in, it actually starts to run into the cold air mass. That warm front shows up. The warm air is actually forced upward. You ever heard us talk about lift? Lift means that our air is moving up, so it overruns the cold, denser air, and that's that lift motion. The warm air cools as it rises, causing moisture in the air to condense into clouds and precipitation. That's how you get the cloud cover eventually as it moves up. Of course, you're talking about precip. What does that mean? So the precip starts up here, right? It actually starts as a snowflake every time. Then it runs into this warm air mass. That warm air mass melts it back to liquid, and then it falls through the cold air mass again as it gets to the surface. So the cold air is actually below 32 degrees. So tomorrow the temperature will be below 32. So how does this happen? Well, you get supercooled water droplets. The water temperature itself as it's falling through this is actually below 32 degrees. The water is. But it makes contact with the surface, and as soon as it makes contact with the surface, it freezes instantly. Supercooled water droplet indicates it's water that hasn't made the transition over to ice yet. That's what supercooled water is. And there's an example of this. If you have a water bottle, you ever seen this one? You have a water bottle that's water, but if you open it up when it's outside, it freezes instantly. That's because that water inside didn't have any particles to touch, so it couldn't make the transition to a solid. And as soon as it touched the particles of the air, it all turned to the solid immediately. That is how freezing rain works. Now, how sleet works, if you're still with me on this, how sleet works is the cold air mass is larger. So that supercooled water droplet actually freezes to a ball. It's in the cold air longer. So it just turns into a ball of ice, which is less significant and less impactful. Hopefully you learned something there. That's how this whole deal works. And most importantly, if there's one thing you learn out of this whole thing, most people I talk to believe that temperatures above 32 actually indicate freezing rain at the surface. I can just throw all of that out. If temperatures at the surface are warmer than 32, you have rain, plain rain. If the temperatures are 30 degrees or 31 or 32 or under and it's raining, that's not rain. That is freezing rain. It is that simple at the surface. Okay. So here's that warm air as it starts to roll in. Now you'll see the warm air start to come in. At this time it's 12:30. I do expect actually our heaviest punch of moisture to come in early Saturday morning. You're going to see a nice wave of moisture. You'll see a little sleet in here. And if you look to the north, I pause this. If you look to the north here, this is going to be light snow. St. Cloud, Pine City, areas in the northern Twin Cities. If you go to the south, you can actually see this looks more like freezing rain, especially as you get into Iowa. So we're on that transition side. That's why I'm calling for all three of them here in the Twin Cities. And I made a graphic to simplify this whole thing up if you want to see it again. But 1:30 in the afternoon, things lighten up. You can't really tell, but it's lighter. But now we could see some freezing drizzle throughout the day. That's a little concern. And then 8 o'clock, same deal. Most of the heavy precip is in the morning, because in the afternoon and evening, it will start sliding into Wisconsin. We're looking at a glaze. Most models indicate a glaze. What's that? 0.01, 0.02. It's not actually ice accumulation. It's just that little glaze that causes slick spots. Where are we seeing the accumulation? Well, if you look down here in Iowa, they're actually very significant. Actually, I could get off camera here. I probably could zoom out and pull the, yeah, here you go. Look at that. That is the ice storm warning. I can't get the actual numbers on here, but this is where we're actually looking at 1/4 of an inch of ice. That is more significant. So traveling down here, not going to be of ice. Now, Des Moines is not going to be nearly as bad as Cedar Rapids and on your way to parts of northern Illinois. So just note that if you're going to be out there in this whole thing. What about snow? Accumulating snow, 1.4 inches. See how this wants to go 3 or 4 in Rochester? It's possible down there. I just think they're going to be mixing in too much freezing rain. This is an accumulation of all sleet and snow. So it's not just snow. Let's just call it around an inch. I will show you all of our models just so you can see what I'm dealing with. Because I love these Care 11 Plus things, I can be as transparent as possible. We got time. 0.6, 1.8, 2.1, 3.2. Now again, this is including sleet. Am I going to look at the NAM at 3.2? Never do. NAM is terrible. But these models I do like to blend, and if you blended those, that's about inch and a half is kind of what we're dealing with. I agree with it. So I got a couple of graphics, and then I made one myself overlapping this to make it simple if you want to actually see exactly what I'm thinking. So winter weather advisory has been issued up towards, looks like Anoka County. So Anoka County, just to the north, and the Isanti area. Anything north of that will be very light snow and the roads won't be as impacted. South of this here is more impactful, especially as you get into Iowa. So here's what I did. I just wanted to overlay this and make this a little more simple for you. Light snow. If you're in the northern parts of this, it's light snow. And I think you'll mix in some sleet. Down here in the Twin Cities, down to Mankato, sleet and freezing rain. There will be some freezing rain in here, and there will be some sleet. That's mainly why we got this issued. But if you get down to Rochester, Jackson, into Iowa, this is mainly freezing rain. It might actually turn back over to snow over here in Wisconsin, but that's the concern, is southern Minnesota. We still have concerns, but we're going to be having such a mess out there. It just depends on what's falling, but you got to be prepared for it. You know how you play an event like this, because we're so on the edge of sleet, freezing rain, and snow, you prepare for slick roads, but I am not changing my plans completely. I just am giving myself extra time. And listen, on a day like tomorrow, if it's all freezing rain or something happens, then you can adjust because you're aware that the roads could be bad. You know, you just want to be prepared. Pull up MnDOT for sure. 32 tomorrow. That is the high. Most of the day will be in the upper 20s. And again, you can check the thermometer. If it's raining or you think it's raining, it's 29, that's not rain. If it's raining and it's 36, that's rain. It's that simple. 36 on Sunday, mild conditions Sunday. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, we cool down. I do think we'll see a little system on Monday, but Wednesday, I am expecting maybe a little light snow. Models are kind of struggling here on this Wednesday event. Well, I hope you guys are prepared for your Saturday. Thank you for joining me here, and I hope you guys have a great rest of your day.